Welcome to Gone Fishin'. Today, your host Bob Kirkpatrick and TJ Schwanky fish for walleye on Lake Diefenbaker.
Oh, that's over 10 pounds.
Gotta be.
Okay, here it comes.
Ready?
Yeah.
Woo! All right.
Look at that.
That's got to be my best walleye ever.
That's 11 or 12 pounds at least.
Holy. Come on out of here, girl. Think of that little 16-ounce jig in there?
Diefenbaker pre-spawn walleye. It doesn't get any better than that.
I'll tell you what, we've been out here about 10 minutes. My first walleye of the year. It's early season. This is great.
Well, see if he's still there.
Got him.
Yeah, I got him.
Good job. How does it feel?
Well, so far so good. That wind is pushing us pretty good.
They sure are concentrated in this one little area, aren't they?
They sure are.
And what we found here, it's basically just a featureless mud bottom, but there is the odd little rock pile, and that's where the walleye are sitting, is right on those rock piles. It's definitely a case of fishing the spot on the spot.
He's doing some head shaking. Ooh. There's the... That's a nice walleye.
Yeah, that's a fair walleye in anybody's books.
Oh, under the boat. Get him head first out. There we go.
Got him.
I got that on a live bait rig. Whoops. A sliding sinker here and a bead and a swivel. And then I did something a little bit different here. Still got half the leech there. I've got a float on there, and it's about 4 inches away from the hook. And the reason I did that is just to add a little color, kind of an attractor, and still let the leech swim freely, and we're going nice and slow, so this is only an inch or two off the bottom, but I'm hoping that float will just act as an attractor. We had some luck earlier with some jigs of this color, and I just thought we could cover a little more area with this live bait rig. And with the 4 or 5 inches in here between the float and the hook, it still gives the leech some movement, and hopefully the natural action of that leech is going to be what attracts those fish. And in this darker water, maybe this color of float will attract them as well.
I'm just going to kick him back and we'll get back fishing.
Sure.
There he goes. I got him on that Kelly green spinning glow.
You move down just a little bit and I'll get him beside you.
Not that big either. Sure hit like a ton of bricks.
Well, that's 2 right out of here at the same spot.
Yeah. Same as yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Same fish.
It's a little smaller.
Boy, I just lipped them too for as long as I gave them.
Yeah, well, they're not taking it very hard.
I'm just using this spin and glow here. It just adds a little bit of attractant, and then they come up from the attraction from it, and there is a leech on the end of this hook as well. So we're just trying a couple different patterns to see what works and what doesn't. And goodbye to you.
This wind's pushing us back. I want to give him time to take that leech. Yeah, he's still there.
It's good, that'll shorten up a little bit. Drift right back over top of him.
I want to give him lots. That last one you had didn't fed him quite a bit, and he just was barely lip hooked. So
I counted 30 on him when he was just lip hooked.
No, I'm going to let us drift back over him a little bit.
Yeah. So do we need the net yet?
I don't know if he's still there. Wind up all the slack.
Pick up the weight.
Yeah, I got him. Ooh, feels fairly solid. It's that one little spot. There's a little rock pile under there I mentioned earlier. I feel my sinker going over it.
Well, we both talked going over. You can just feel it bumping.
Feel the sinker going over those rocks. It's a very small area. It isn't any bigger than this boat. This guy's got a lot of fight.
Boy, that last one I caught too, he was just zinging.
Oh. He's going under the boat. Well, that's not bad, same as the other ones.
Yeah.
See, they fight hard in this cold water.
I'll just scoop in with my hand. Get them under the belly here. Usually walleye, if you just hold them under the belly, they'll just go dormant like that. It's a good way to hold them without stressing them a lot. So the idea when you're fishing the live bait rig is, whether you're fishing with a bait casting type reel or with a spinning reel, is to leave it so the line can free flowly. Now with the bait casting reel, you just push the button down, or with the spinning reel, you leave the bail open and you hold the line with your finger. And what you do when you feel a strike is you let the line feed freely to the fish. Now it'll slide through the special weight designed for this purpose. And what that does is allow the fish to take the bait without feeling any resistance. Now how long do you let the fish take the bait? It depends on the day. Some days 2 or 3 seconds is all you need. I've seen days where it took 60 seconds and you were just lip hooking the fish. And the nice thing about this, you have the option to let them feed for quite a while. Now we had tried them on jigs before. We were having a little trouble hooking them. They just didn't seem to be picking up the bait. So when we switched to the rigs, we were able to allow them to pick that bait up and actually take it in their mouth for some time. So we're counting to about 20 or 30 today seems to be the magic number, and we're not hooking those fish too deep.
As you can see from the way the rocks are on shore, it's the same type of rock pile we have under here. They're not big boulders or anything, just a bunch of flat rocks, so they don't even show up well on the graph. Show up as a little bit of bumps, but when we're dragging a jig or a live bait rig over it, you can feel them bouncing over. So we've kind of gone around this a few times and figured out this rock pile isn't very big. It's maybe the size of this boat, and that's about all. It's kind of tough to sit on it in this wind, but it seems like every time we get over it, we're getting some action.
One of the key ingredients for locating early season walleye is finding the warmest water adjacent to spawning areas. Usually, large back bays with an incoming water source are the key. These will be the areas of warmest water. A sonar unit with built-in temperature gauge is your most valuable tool in locating these hot spots. The walleye that Bob and TJ are catching on today's show are located in one of these warm back bays. They're relating to two distinct structural elements, small rock piles on a 6-foot flat and the edge of the main creek channel. While these bays at first glance may seem featureless, most have some key elements that the fish will home in on. Underground springs, new weed growth, timber, and man-made structures are additional fish-attracting features.
Right on that rock pile again.
Yeah. All right.
I think I can handle it, TJ.
Do the honors on this one?
Yeah. Oh, that's another nice fish.
It is. They're all carbon copies of each other off here.
Yeah, they're... All right.
Kelly green.
Like TJ was saying, you hold them under the two fins here on the belly and they seem to just lay quite still. Again, a green jig and a leech. It's a good fish anywhere. Great eating size, but we're going to let this one go. All right, you got me.
Kind of surprised me. We're just going across that 6-foot flat there and banged this little jig.
Oh, that's a nice one.
All right. I just switched back to that jig and we were just drifting along pretty slow with it and just took it.
That's a nice walleye.
Get her out?
Yep.
Oh.
Woo! That's a good
Nice release.
You didn't want that one anyway, did you?
No, we didn't want that one. I would have just let it go anyways, Bob.
On this week's show, the Gone Fishing team traveled to central Saskatchewan's Lake Diefenbaker. Located within close proximity to Regina, Saskatoon, and Swift Current, this sprawling 118,000-acre reservoir is a popular weekend destination. Vacationers and sportsmen alike enjoy these temperate waters. The majority of water sports originate near the town of Elbow. Its sheltered harbor, full-service marina, and first-class launch facilities are among the finest in the province. For the land-loving sportsman, Elbow boasts a world-class 18-hole golf course. Set on the wind-swept shores of Lake Diefenbaker, this lush green course is an oasis in the prairie landscape. But it's the fishing that has brought the Gone Fishing team to Diefenbaker. Created in the mid-1970s with the construction of the Gardner and Capel dams, Diefenbaker hosts a healthy population of walleye, northern pike, and a number of other species. It's the big walleye, however, that attract most visiting anglers, and big they are. Countless 10-pound-plus giants fall prey to the angler's lure each season. Boating anglers find lots of action at both dams, in Cotto Bay, Hitchcock Coulee, and right in the mouth of the harbor. There are literally thousands of points and bays to explore at your leisure. Diefenbaker also offers some of the finest shore fishing opportunities in the region. Both the Gardner and Capel dams are popular. Casting jigs and live bait rigs seem to be the most common presentations. Anglers will find bait, gas, tackle, and lots of helpful information at the Elbow Harbor. Fishing and houseboat rentals are also available here. No matter what your pleasure, Diefenbaker is well equipped to please. Stay tuned as Bob and TJ share some hot early season walleye techniques.
Just threw out a couple of marker buoys here we picked up, or had 2 hits right in this area. There's no structure here really to hold these fish. It's about 6-7 feet deep, flat and muddy. There's nothing that we can pick up so far anyway. Threw a couple of marker buoys out and we're going to work this area a little bit.
Walleye are real schooling fish, especially in this post-spawn time. So what we're doing, as soon as you pick up one, there's a good chance there'll be several more in the area. So we'll work this hard here now, and these marker buoys just give us an idea of where to stay and where to fish. They seem to be right up on top of this flat. The edge of it's right where we threw the markers out.
Where are those markers? I don't want to get tangled up in them.
Spin it around.
I think this is a little better fish.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, he's doing some fighting. Probably want the net.
I would think so. Oh, he's going under the boat. Now you turn us to the left there. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah, we better have the net for this one.
I got her. The leader of this little keep us out of the rocks.
That's a nice fish.
Get on. Good job. Now the structure we're working here, it's a big flat and it tails out into the channel, and it seems the fish have moved up on top of this flat to feed. And they'll quite often do that. They'll sit in the deeper part of the channel during the day, and then when they decide to move up to feed, they really get aggressive. And the way they're taking these hooks, they are aggressive.
Yeah, that one just right now, there's no feeding it line or anything.
That's the one. Last one that took my jig was the same.
Nice fish. 4-pound walleye. We caught a lot of fish on live bait rigs here at Diefenbaker, and a lot of walleyes, and TJ's going to show you how to tie up a basic live bait rig.
Okay, we begin with a walking sinker, and what you do is just pass the line through the hole at the top of it. Now this sinker is just allowed to slide freely on the line itself. So to stop the sinker where we want it, we first put on just a small bead. and we just slide it through the middle of the bead. And now what we do to actually control the length is we put on one of these rubber stops, and they're actually designed strictly for this purpose. So just wet the line a little bit, you pass it through the loop, and just pull it on just like that. Now what this does is you can vary the length of your snell now just by sliding this up or down, and as the weight slides down it comes to rest against there. Now all the bead is for is so that rubber stopper doesn't jam in the hole of the sinker. And now what we do is, this is a commercially tied rig. This is a roach rig. There's also Lindy rigs and a variety of other commercially tied rigs, or you can tie your own. And there's a small barrel swivel at the end of this. It's a number 10 barrel swivel. And we just tie it onto the tag end of the line and just use a improved clinch knot for that. And give it about 5 or 6 wraps. And bring it through the loop and back through the loop again. Now it's also important to wet your knots before you tighten them. There's a lot of friction as these knots tighten, and what the moisture will do is help keep them cool. And we just take and cut that tag end off. And simply have it right there. We do have a live bait rig. Now you can see what happens as a fish bites. That line's just allowed to flow freely through that weight, so he doesn't feel any resistance. So that's what we were doing today. When that felt that fish tap, we'd let the line go. He'd pull line through the weight, no resistance. Once we felt he had the bait in his mouth, we'd set the hook. Now we can vary the length of this snell just by sliding the stop up and down the line. Some days it may take an 18-inch snell, some days it may take 3 feet. I've been in situations where it's taken as long as 10 or 12 feet. The only way you'll know is by experimentation.
There's a variety of live bait rigs that you can use, and I'm just going to show you some of the ones that are available commercially. You can tie up your own in a variety of different ways. First, and probably the most popular one, is just a plain live bait rig. It's a single hook. You can add a crawler, a leech, or a minnow, and that gives you the most natural presentation of all. This next one has 2 hooks on it. It's designed specifically for night crawlers. You hook one through the nose and the other hook as a trailer further back. I've added a bead to this to give the fish a target to go at, and you can dress these up any way you want. Next in line we have a roach rig, which is actually a sliding float, and it'll lift your bait up a little off the bottom, again giving a different presentation as you're trolling along very slowly. We have a Phelps floater next, which is a soft-bodied jig, and it lifts your bait off the bottom as well. Next is a spin and glow, which spins through the water and again attracts the fish, and you can use this with a leech or minnow or a night crawler. This is a wobble float, and it's more like a crankbait action. You get a lot of tight wobble here and adds extra action to your bait. Or you can go with a small blade and a couple of beads, just anything to gain some attraction. If the fish are a little bit up off the bottom, you can combine everything and have beads, a float, and blades, and different sizes and colors of blades to give different actions and presentations. A handy little item to use to store all these rigs is a tackle tamer made with Velcro. You just wrap these rigs on here and stick a piece of Velcro on and they stay untangled. There's a variety of sinkers you can use when you're live bait rigging. First one here is a bullet sinker. You use that in a weedy situation. It goes through the weeds good without snagging up. Next we have an egg sinker. Now, this is quite a large one. Use that in a heavy current situation like a fast-flowing river when you have to keep your bait down on the bottom. Next in line we have the original Lindy sinker, or walking sinker. This was designed by Al and Ron Linder of In Fisherman. And just the shape and style of this sinker, it was designed to work over the rocks and be quite snag resistant. This is a new improved version by Lindy. They've added some color, and the quick change is the key on this sinker. You can take this sinker off and add a different size or a different color without cutting your rig off. This is another version of a quick change sinker. This is a roach rig by Northlands, and the eye on the end of this sinker opens up and you can attach it to your line without removing the rig. Now, this is another style of a Lindy style sinker with a hook added, and it's used in a situation called double rigging. And how that works is you still run your line through the eye, and it slides along. There's a sliding sinker, and if you had a floating rig on here, you can cover 2 different depths at the same time. hook a leech or a minnow on the back of this one, and it drags right along the bottom. And if you have a floating rig on, you can cover an area 4 or 5, 6 inches up from the bottom too, so you're actually covering 2 areas at once.
It's good when you're feeding them line, just not to lose total contact with them. You don't want to just throw line to them. Just make sure you can feel them every now and then. I know there's still some weight there. So now you just click it up, point your rod tip at them, set the hook.
All right.
We're just drifting across a rocky point. It's kind of a big sand area here, and there were some rocks extended into it. So we thought we'd give this area a try. And Bob just had a hit just before I did, and so obviously there's some fish in here. And it looks like a burbot. Well, he's hooked really deep, so I'm just going to do him a favor and if you ever do hook a fish really deep and you think you're going to cause some damage pulling the hook out and you want to let him go, just break your line off. And what that'll do, that hook will rust out of there in 2 or 3 days and he'll be fine. Now we're down at Quappel Dam right now. Bob and I were down here on Monday evening and watched a couple fellows fishing right from this spot. And they really caught a lot of nice walleye. So we thought we'd come down here and give it a try. Now what we're doing is we're casting 1/4 ounce and 3/8 ounce jigs out and then just retrieving them in with a slow drag technique.
As you can see from looking down here from up above, you can see that there's a great big mud flat in here and there's a couple of holes. This isn't very deep and the wind's pounding in here, blowing in here, and if any bait fish or anything the walleye are feeding on, they're getting all churned up in here. That's why the walleye are holding in this corner. The wind's blowing hard right into here, and there's all kinds of walleyes out here, and they're hanging off just in the deep edges and coming up on these flats to feed. So, like TJ said, we're throwing a dark-colored jig with a leech on, just dragging it back, and I'm sure we're going to pick up some big walleye here.
All over Saskatchewan, there's some excellent places for shore fishing. You don't need a boat to enjoy the great sport of fishing. And we've got some other people down the shore here right now, and they're enjoying. I know we watched them catch a pile of fish the other night, and we caught a bunch of hits and caught a couple of fish. Got to get out there and do it. It's great. We're going to let this one go and get back at it. Well, we've had some great fishing here at Diefenbaker, including my personal best walleye, 12 pounds, 2 ounces.
That was on a 16th ounce jig. That was quite a feat. Well, we've had a great time here at Diefenbaker. Sun's starting to go down. Maybe we can get in on a good evening bite.